Hello to all of you. It's always been a pleasure to be a faculty in Diabetes India, and it's always a great show. And so as metformin is, I will say that metformin is something which, as Dr. Zarkar has already described it very nicely with his own experience with fenformin to metformin till date, that it is always considered as a first line whenever we are talking about type 2 diabetes. But I am not going to talk on type 2 diabetes and metformin because it is accepted by ADA, it is accepted by ESD, AAC, National Health Institute of Health and Clinical Science, Canadian authorities, even our own RSSDI and IDF. All. But I am going to talk today on how metformin works on other aspects of clinical profile. One, women's health, including gestational diabetes and PCOS. Metformin, cardiorenal aspect. Metformin in metabolic disorders like obesity, dyslipidemia, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, even in an infectious disease like TB. Another comorbidity, important comorbidity in diabetes and hypertensive patient, that is cancer and age-related morbidity. So let's first talk on women's health. That women's health is basically affected by PCOS in their early reproductive age, or I will say at the time of menarche or the teen age, or in a early marriage life, and later on they got affected with gestational diabetes, very high association of this particular disease, and here metformin works as an anti-androgen effect. Definitely, insulin sensitivity improvement is always there as a part of PCOS treatment, but it reduces risk of miscarriage. And the second line ovulation agent is also a metformin. First line is clomiphene citrate, and even now letrozole is also accepted as a first line drug for ovulation. But along with them, if you give metformin, it increases ovulation in infertile couple. And if you are giving metformin and patient is going for IVF, then hyperstimulation syndrome, ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome rate is less. That is very important because metformin is not considered by gynecologists as a very important drug as far as fertility is concerned. But if you see the whole aspect, actually it is a very good conjunction to whatever they give for fertility. And when person becomes gestational diabetic during her pregnancy because of affected by PCOS or family history of diabetes, again in GDM, it is found to be effective. So from PCOS with menstrual irregularity, where metformin helps to reduce hirsutism as well as menstrual irregularity, in anovulatory PCOS, it improves ovulation, increases pregnancy rate. When IVF, it reduces hyperstimulation syndrome. If patient become diabetic during pregnancy, then even chances of miscarriage rate is reduced and reduction of risk of gestational diabetes is also there. And over and above all, these are the potential candidates for future type 2 diabetes or cardiac disease or cancer therapy, and it improves dysglycemia, it improves metabolic dysfunction for long-term survival of this patient. We have our own Dr. Avdesh Kumar Singh's data regarding usage of metformin in gestation diabetes, because by now in gestation diabetes, insulin is the only well-validated therapy, but there are several RCTs where Dr. Avdesh Kumar has meta-analyzed and done a meta-analysis of that observational studies also, where it was found to be safe and it was found to get less maternal weight gain, less maternal hypoglycemia, and acceptable outcomes without affecting fetus as such. So we can use this drug. Yes, obviously insulin is the first drug, but along with insulin, sometimes for support, along with insulin, you can add metformin during gestational diabetes. And so as for obesity. In obesity, one of the key factor is hyperleptinemia and leptin resistance, where metformin works on leptin resistance also. Metformin may enhance leptin sensitivity, it reduces leptin secretion, and thereby it changes the expression of neuropeptide, causing hunger and increased feeling of satiety which leads to appetite suppression and decreased food intake, which helps. And so as insulin resistance, it is a very good insulin sensitizer, improving hyperinsulinemia to a normal level and along with change in the dyslipidemia, which helps to reduce weight also. But here I would like to say metformin is not a weight loss drug. If patient is pre-diabetic, if patient is having hyperinsulinemia, it works, but it doesn't work in all patients. If you see the DPP, diabetes prevention program, now here the patients were having NGT or IGT, impaired glucose tolerance also, where 29% of the patient in metformin group lost more than 5 kg, 5% of their initial body weight in 1 year. 26% maintain over 2 years, and subject in metformin arm experience a weight loss of 2.1 kg and reduce their incidence of developing diabetes by 31%. So in this pre-diabetic population, along with the sustained weight loss, it reduces chances of getting diabetes. And in this 10-year of follow-up, the patient who were highly adherent to metformin therapy, they lost 3.5 percentage from baseline. So if patient is hyperinsulinemic, acanthosis is there, family history of diabetes is there, you may get a very good sustained weight loss as well as prevention of diabetes by giving metformin. And not only weight loss, in lipid parameter, because here improvement in the insulin sensitivity, especially at the hepatic level, because liver is very important part in dyslipidemia management. So by that, it reduces rate of lipolysis. It slows the conversion of free fatty acid to lipoprotein precursors. Thereby, it improves dyslipidemia, and along with that, weight as well as infant glucose metabolism is also improved. And it accompanies with pro-atherosclerotic functional changes in HDL and LDL particles, and it increases, the increase in triglyceride level, which is reduced by metformin. So dyslipidemia associated with poor glycemic control in type 2 diabetic patient, metformin affects that level and it reduces LDL cholesterol as well as triglyceride level. So it's a lipid-friendly anti-diabetic medicine. And if it is really works that, then why not NAFLD? So a probable mechanism by which metformin works is definitely one of the main parameters weight loss and lipid parameter benefit, but it induces insulin sensitivity, and the insulin sensitivity as well as decrease in the gluconeogenesis in the liver so that it reduces that liver glycogen synthesis. It increases glycogenolysis. It increases glucose uptake in periphery, and it increases fatty acid oxidation. So obviously, fatty deposit will be less in an FLE patient. And what about safety and long-term tolerability? We have experience of 60 years with metformin now, so there is no second thought about its safety, about its tolerability in patient. We know that there are a few gastric side effects, but it is very well taken care of. Hardly there are few percentage of the patient where we have to discontinue metformin because they cannot tolerate by gastrointestinal side effect. And the four drugs, statin, glitazone, metformin, and vitamin E, as well as adenosine L-methionine, which are considered as hepatoprotective agent. Metformin is one of the most important cornerstone because glitazone, a very good drug for fatty liver, but it doesn't reduce its weight. Statin protects, but it doesn't reduce its fatty liver. These are the good agents. So vitamin E and L as adenosine methionine and metformin are one of the most common therapy which is given by even gastroenterologists for NFD because it improves liver biochemistry and metabolic syndrome features. And if metformin can do such wonder, then why not cardiovascular system? It is having direct action through which it reduces endothelial dysfunction and it protects myocardium, which reduces chances of myocardial infarction. It reduces protein synthesis as well as transcription of NFAT and MPAK that reduces cardiac hypertrophy. It reduces endothelial dysfunction through various factors like this, by which it affects reduction in heart failure and increase in autophagy, including with inclusion with insulin sensitivity improvement, it reduces diabetic cardiomyopathy. So the new cardiovascular benefit, which has found that it exhibits anti-thrombotic property. Even Dr. Zargar just recently told that even in COVID patients who were on stable dose of metformin, cytokine storm was found to be less. Why? Because of this endothelial proliferation action, anti-thrombotic property, endothelial dysfunction reduction, which is there with metformin, which ultimately leads to protection against ischemia, reperfusion injury, followed by myocardial infarction, and so as it improves cardiomyocyte function, which reduces cardiomyopathy. And this is very good study. I would like to say that was published in Annals of Internal Medicine. This was a systemic review. The clinical outcome of metformin use in population with chronic kidney disease, congestive heart failure, and chronic liver disease, and it was found to be safe. It was found to be reduced mortality. You can see the hazard ratio of 0.77, 0.78, 0.77 in all different type of patients. And that's why even today, when we are talking about diabetes and when we are talking about ASCVD predominates or heart failure predominates or CKD, even go for KITO guideline, which is just recently they have taken up dapagliflozin and SGLT2 inhibitor as a one of the very important part in diabetes and DKD management. Still, they have put metformin just side by side of gliflozin, SGLT2 inhibitor. So it remains a first line therapy because of this only. And if you are worrying about heart failure, see, this is not the drug to start when patient is already in heart failure or hospitalized because of heart failure. This is a drug to start in a stable heart failure patient to prevent further loss. So this is very important. And opposition to saxagliptin and pioglitazone, metformin and SGLT2 inhibitor are considered to be included in patients with diabetes and heart failure. And what about CKD? Because again, see, if patient is already having liver damage, don't use. But if patient is having NASH, use it. So it is very important to use this drug at a correct point so you can reduce or you reduce the progression of to the further damage. So if patient is having EGFR more than 60, you can use. If it is between 45 to 60, still you can use. If it is between 30 to 45, you can use. Just you have to be cautious. And I can say with all parts of my clinical practice, it is very safe. Just monitor renal function and just see the weight loss and other parameters when you are giving metformin to a compromised EGFR. Only thing where you should stop metformin is EGFR less than 30. Along with that, we have few data regarding metformin action in tuberculosis. If patient was given INH, these are the INH treated mice when INH isoniazid was given alone and when it was given with metformin, when the combination was given, the AMPK activation by metformin inhibits mycobacterial tuberculosis growth and it has shown a benefit in comparison to isoniazid alone. It is very important that this drug affects on metabolism of bacteria. Given the evidences that bacterial NDHI complex is similar to mitochondrial complex I in the both structure and function, and metformin can be a potential candidate to inhibit NDHI for mycobacterial tuberculosis. That is what exactly you can see. So these are the similar structure in mitochondrial complex and this NDHI complex, and thereby it inhibits mycobacterial tuberculosis growth. So it is one of the important extra effect what we can get with metformin when we are treating diabetes with tuberculosis. And last but not the least, the cancer. Metformin through GI absorption, through portal circulation, it goes into liver, which reduces gluconeogenesis, reduces glycemia, reduces hyperinsulinemia, because hyperinsulinemia is one of the proliferator for successive stage subcellularly, which leads to oncogenic potential. So it works by reducing that oncologic potential and direct effect on cancer cells also by changing in the oxidative stress mechanism and proliferative kinase inhibition. So we have beaming evidence from 2015, 2019, 2018, and 2016. There are multiple cancers where metformin is shown as a good implication in cancer therapy. But we have very significant meta-analysis of 6 case control studies involving a lower risk developing lung cancer in metformin group with odds ratio of 0.55. There is another data with reduced incidence of prostate cancer, and we have 35 observational study meta-analysis which has shown reduction in liver cancer, colorectal cancer, pancreatic cancer, gastric cancer, and esophageal cancer. So it's a very good therapy, and if it works for oncogenic potential and oxidative stress, then definitely this drug has some role in age-related comorbidities also. So patients who are healthy but aged, if patients are aged with high cancer risk, high CVD risk, or high fragility risk, you can see the odds ratio 0.53, 0.72, 0.58, and 0.39. So it suggests that when patient is on metformin, it is having effect on mortality. It reduces significantly. So it has shown a age-related comorbidity reduction when it was given in a type 2 diabetic old age patient. And it also improves cognitive decline and overall mortality through various diseases. How it works? Because metformin works on AMPK, that is adenosine monophosphate kinase inhibitor, through which it works on the protein and lipid synthesis, cell proliferation, angiogenesis, which is blocked by this agent, and thereby it improves cell survival and cell metabolism because this insulin-like growth factor is also blocked. So by giving metformin, by improving insulin sensitivity, it is not only controlling sugar, it is affecting everywhere in a small span of our whole body. And microbiome modification, protection against protein and lipid DNA damage, along with that, reduction in inflammatory response, lipid metabolism, and reduction in hypoglycemia ultimately leads to anti-aging property also. So just I would like to end that after 60 years of metformin use, what we got from a seed to a big tree. Big tree which treats dyslipidemia, which treats diabetes prevention, which can be a part in type 1 diabetic patient who become obese later in their life. For type 2, as we all know, it's a first line therapy. Cardiovascular disease, it reduces that. It helps in obesity. It improves microbiota. We have evidences with that. Inflammation is reduced. Aging process is reduced, so is cancer and PCOS. And it also helps to fight with tuberculosis and few other bacterial infection as well as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So this is what all about extra glycemic role of metformin. Thank you.